I think if he does drop out, I think a lot of people are going to still support him regardless. I feel like at this point, the country's kind of turning into everyone else versus the Democrats.
If he drops out, are you going to be in support of Trump?
Yeah, I would.
These are live pictures from Phoenix, Arizona, where Kennedy is expected to say publicly what he's already made official in a court filing, that he will endorse Donald Trump. Perhaps no coincidence, Trump is set to hold a campaign rally tonight with a special unnamed guest in Glendale, Arizona. That's just 20 minutes from where RFK is right now. Joining me now, New York Times investigative reporter Suzanne Craig, MSNBC contributor Jonathan Alter, who's written extensively about RFK Jr. and the Kennedy family.
At the palace coup against President Biden, the same shadowy DNC operatives appointed his successor, also without an election. They installed a candidate who was so unpopular with voters that she dropped out in 2020 without winning a single delegate. My uncle and my father both relished debate. They prided themselves on their capacity to go toe-to-toe with any opponent in the battle over ideas. They would be astonished to learn of a Democratic Party presidential nominee who, like Vice President Harris, has not appeared in a single interview or an unscripted encounter with voters for 35 days.
We've been listening to independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. from Phoenix outlining what led him to his quixotic quest for the White House to now dropping out and relinquishing the title of Democrat. He had a series of complaints about the party. We're, of course, going to continue watching his remarks. There's a back and forth over whether he's going to endorse former President Donald Trump. We're going to break that down on the other side of a quick break. Stay with CNN.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So RFK has done what everybody speculated that he would do, which is to drop out and to endorse Trump. And as you guys saw at the beginning of this video, the mainstream liberal media, CNN, MSNBC, they didn't like this, okay? Because CNN cut away from the stream when RFK got into the meat and potatoes of his gripes with the Democrat Party, which is that the Democrat primary was not fair, okay? It was set up in favor of Joe Biden so that nobody could challenge him realistically, because we know if they had a real primary, then RFK might have won that primary, okay? We will never know, okay? And CNN and MSNBC, who didn't even really carry the press conference at all, right? They just talked over it like they do with Trump. Hey, don't listen to what this guy is saying. We'll tell you what he's saying, okay, and go from there, right? We'll spin the propaganda for you. We'll tell you what to think. But anyways, yeah, they don't want people to be educated, the mainstream liberal media, on RFK. They don't want people to hear what RFK has to say, because Nicole Shanahan, his VP, has been coming out here for the last few days hinting that, hey, this could happen. And one of the reasons why they're doing this, they're endorsing Trump, is because the Kamala Harris campaign, the potential Kamala Harris administration, is absolutely insane.
Why is Kamala Harris sort of dangerous to you?
I think Kamala Harris is dangerous to me because she is the ultimate puppet for an organization that has, I believe, since President Obama, not actually run real people. Mm-hmm. They have selected amongst a very small group of individuals that they can control and dictate policy over.
Yes.
I don't think Kamala Harris is somebody who will sit here and tell you how she feels. I think that human capacity of hers has long gone.
Yes.
I think that what she now represents is corporatism. Mm-hmm. She represents a huge amount of cronyism, and I do believe that she is using messaging, and this is the part that worries me the most, is that she uses messaging in a way to get populations of young, unknowing, innocent people to join her on these false virtue signal ambitions and actually take on policies that will eventually really hurt them in the future. My mother is from communist China. I grew up hearing about what the famine was like in communist China.
Right. Well, she's going to do price controls at supermarkets, so we don't have to worry about that.
But that is exactly how you get to a famine. I mean, this is
I know.
This is the basics. This is communism 101.
Yeah, communism 101, which is apparently something that Nicole Shanahan doesn't want. Okay, it is something that America doesn't want. It's something that RFK doesn't want. Nobody wants the communism that is being proposed by the Kamala Harris campaign. Okay, the left is getting even more far left. Is at the point where it's out of control, right? And RFK has decided strategically that, you know what, this is my best chance to have an impact. I'm not going to have an impact in the Democrat Party. My best chance is to join forces with Trump to create a true unity ticket and to take down the left, okay? And that is essentially what he articulated during his speech, in which he is suspending his campaign, he's dropping out, and he's endorsing Trump. Take a look.
I'm sorry to keep everybody waiting. 16 months ago, in April of 2023, I launched my campaign for President of the United States. I began this journey as a Democrat, the party of my father, my uncle, the party which I pledged my own allegiance to long before I was old enough to vote. I attended my first Democratic convention at the age of 6 in 1960. And back then, the Democrats were the champions of the Constitution, of civil rights. The Democrats stood against authoritarianism, against censorship, against colonialism, imperialism, and unjust wars. We were the party of labor, of the working class. The Democrats were the party of government transparency and the champion of the environment. Our party was the bulwark against big money interests and corporate power. True to its name, it was the party of democracy. As you know, I left that party in October because it had departed so dramatically from the core values that I grew up with. It had become the party of war, censorship, corruption, big pharma, big tech, big ag, and big money. When it abandoned democracy by canceling the primary to conceal the cognitive decline of the sitting president, I left the party to run as an independent. The mainstream of American politics and journalism derided my decision. Conventional wisdom said that it would be impossible even to get on the ballot as an independent because each state poses an insurmountable tangle of arbitrary rules for collecting signatures. I would need over 1 million signatures, something no presidential candidate in history had ever achieved. And then I'd need a team of attorneys and millions of dollars to handle all the legal challenges from the DNC. Each time that our volunteers turned in those towering boxes of signatures needed to get on the ballot, the DNC dragged us into court, state after state, attempting to erase their work and to subvert the will of the voters who had signed those petitions. It deployed DNC-aligned judges to throw me and other candidates off the ballot and to throw President Trump in jail. It ran a sham primary that was rigged to prevent any serious challenge to President Biden. Then, when a predictably bungled debate performance precipitated the palace coup against President Biden, the same shadowy DNC operatives appointed his successor, also without an election. They installed a candidate who was so unpopular with voters that she dropped out in 2020 without winning a single delegate. My uncle and my father both relished debate. They prided themselves on their capacity to go toe-to-toe with any opponent in the battle over ideas. They would be astonished to learn of a Democratic Party presidential nominee who, like Vice President Harris, has not appeared in a single interview or an unscripted encounter with voters for 35 days. This is profoundly undemocratic. How are people to choose when they don't know whom they are choosing? And how can this look to the rest of the world? Three great causes drove me to enter this race in the first place, primarily. And these are the principal causes that persuaded me to leave the Democratic Party and run as an independent. And now to throw my support to President Trump. The causes were free speech, the war in Ukraine, and the war on our children. This decision is agonizing for me because of the difficulties it causes my wife and my children and my friends. But I have the certainty that this is what I've meant to do. And that certainty gives me internal peace, even in storms. If I'm given the chance to fix the chronic disease crisis and reform our food production, I promise that within 2 years, we will watch chronic disease burden lift dramatically. We will make Americans healthy again. Within 4 years, America will be a healthy country. We will be stronger, more resilient, more optimistic, and happier.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? So RFK thoroughly laid out why he is dropping out of the race. And one of the reasons why is because the Democrat Party today is not like the Democrat Party of the past, not the Democrat Party that he grew up with, okay? Not the Democrat Party of JFK. And he is throwing his support behind Trump for a couple reasons, right? One of the main reasons that really stood out to me had to do with the war in Ukraine, okay? RFK wants the war to come to an end soon, okay? He wants peace talks with Russia, and so does Trump, right? And that's one of the reasons why he's throwing his support behind Trump is because Trump has promised to bring an end to that war as soon as possible, which is a good thing, right? You have RFK influencing Trump in a positive way on issues that align with the America First agenda, like foreign policy, like the health of our children, like free speech. Again, this is what you want to see, right? We don't have to agree on everything, but what matters is what we do agree on, and are we going to make progress on the things that we actually agree on, right? And that is what it seems like RFK, his role is going to be. It seems as if he probably is going to get some role within the administration. And that is a positive thing, a very positive thing, in my opinion. And the question that really remains is whether or not RFK supporters are going to throw their support behind Trump in the battleground states, because that's what really matters. And I'm hoping and praying that that is the case. At least some indications show that that may be the case.
You know, we have some newbies hopefully joining the Trump movement, and they're coming from the Kennedy camp. I want to introduce you to Caesar. Caesar, also a young American voter. You can see he's got the Vote Kennedy Shanahan. And you know what? There are rumors that potentially Kennedy could come out and endorse Donald Trump today. Now, if that is the case, would you then change your vote from Kennedy to Trump?
Yes, I think anything that we can do to get Kennedy in a higher position is worth it. I believe any decision that Kennedy makes, it comes from an enlightened place. So he has my full confidence and support in anything he decides to do.
The man has a beautiful heart. I will absolutely say that. And Shanahan, his running mate, she is very well connected. She's from the Silicon Valley. Very smart woman. I hope that that is the case today, and we could find out in just hours if Kennedy is going to endorse Trump. It was hard to see his family turn their backs on him when he ran as independent.
I would say in terms of the family, there's 103 Kennedys. Only 5 of them said that they didn't support him, and 3 of those 5 are working for the Biden administration. So I think that was just a headline.
And that's a tough part, though. I mean, what's thicker than water? Blood, right? That's what I would imagine. So very interesting how things have played out at this point in this election cycle. It has been one for the history books, one that we will not forget, a reason why all of these Trump supporters are lining the streets waiting to see him for.
And like we've been telling you, today marks 74 days until Americans head to the polls and vote in a presidential election that was turned on its head just over a month ago. Just take a look at this polling. It shows how much things have changed in those few days, with Vice President Kamala Harris instead of President Joe Biden. That's a big one. Democrats up nearly 10 points, making this an extremely competitive race between the VP and President Donald Trump. Joining me now to break down the polls is Data Science Director with our partners at Decision Desk HQ, Scott Tranter. Scott, good morning. Thanks for joining. Let's start with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. making a lot of headlines this morning, set to address his campaign's path forward. Arizona's Secretary of State already confirming he's filed the paperwork to withdraw from the race. So let's take a look at the national polling averages from DDHQ right now, both with and without RFK Jr. Scott, how does RFK dropping out now impact this race?
It makes it even closer than it already is. Look at that. If RFK drops out, Donald Trump gets it within 3 points. With RFK in, he's within 6 points. That's a big movement in a race that's going to be determined by a point or two.
What about the swing states and also the battleground states? Does that become even tighter with RFK dropping out?
Yeah, no, especially the key ones, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. RFK dropping out, he wasn't going to win, but he was taking 3 to 5% of the vote, and up a year ago, 10 to 15% of the vote. So that shows you that there are voters who are willing to move around and switch candidates who they're supporting for. Him dropping out appears to help. Appears that it will help Trump going into the fall.
Yeah, so I certainly hope that is the case. Okay, even if RFK marginally helps Trump, because it seems as if most of his supporters kind of went to Kamala Harris when Kamala Harris got in the race. So it seems very plausible that he's probably going to end up helping Trump the most by dropping out now. And again, even if it's marginal, that's a big deal, especially in the Rust Belt states of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. Yeah, Trump needs all the help that he can get. And with RFK dropping out, this is extra help. Not only is RFK dropping out, but he's saying, vote for Trump, right? I want all my supporters, if you support me, you should vote for Trump for X, Y, and Z reasons, okay? And also RFK apparently is going to have a place in the Trump administration. So it's like, yeah, if you are an RFK supporter and you really want to see him have an impact, it wasn't likely he was going to do so as a third-party presidential candidate, but it is likely that he will if Trump wins, and he will be a part of the government and helping to make decision. So I'm not entirely sure why anybody who supported RFK would not now support Trump. Even if you are an RFK supporter that decided, you know what, I'm going to support Kamala, why don't you now support Trump if you like RFK so much that you would vote for him over Trump and Kamala Harris? If you really like RFK and if you really believe in his message, then yeah, you should probably go with Trump, because Trump is more closely aligned, and that is why you have RFK endorsing Trump, right? That's why you have him doing that. And it takes a lot of bravery for him to do that. Okay, I'm pretty sure his family probably is not very happy about it, or at least some members of his family are not happy about it. But he's doing what he thinks is the right thing to do. He's using his brain, right? He's thinking logically and rationally about this next upcoming election. And everybody knows that if Democrats get another 4 years in office, this country is finished. Okay, that's not an exaggeration. And this is why you're seeing people like RFK and Elon Musk, a lot of people who weren't necessarily friendly towards Trump just a couple years ago, they're throwing their support behind Trump because, again, they know that if it's not Trump, right, if he doesn't win, again, there are going to be disastrous consequences under the Kamala Harris administration. Everybody knows it. Everybody can see it. If you have a brain, of course, right? If you actually are thinking rationally, logically, if you're not using your emotions, take your emotions out of it, the choice is obvious, right? It's very obvious. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.